You are listening to the Global Slovakia podcast, sharing Slovakia's untold stories, hidden heritage, and remarkable people with the world. As the United States celebrates 250 years of independence, we continue our special series, 250 Years of the American Slovak Story, exploring the people and events that have connected Slovakia and America across generations. Today's episode is They Arrived as Immigrants. Their descendants helped shape America. From bankers and inventors to artists, astronauts, and Hollywood legends, discover the extraordinary stories of Slovak immigrants and their descendants who left a lasting mark on the United States and, in some cases, the world. Michal Bosák, the banker whose signature appeared on American banknotes. When 16-year-old Michal Bosák arrived in New York in 1886, he had almost nothing. The young immigrant from eastern Slovakia stepped onto American soil with a single dollar in his pocket, only to have it stolen on his very first night. For many, such a setback might have been enough to abandon the American dream before it had even begun. Michal refused to give up. Like countless immigrants of his generation, he began with hard physical labor, breaking coal in Pennsylvania's mines before finding work on the railroads. As he learned English and gained confidence, he began looking for opportunities beyond manual work. He soon discovered a growing need among fellow Slovak immigrants. Thousands of newcomers wanted to send money home to their families, but reliable financial services were difficult to find. Seeing an opportunity to help his community, Bosák entered the banking business. What began as a small venture grew into a financial empire. In 1897, he opened his first bank in Pennsylvania. Over time, his success made him one of the most prominent Slovak-American businessmen of his era. As president of the National Bank of Oliphant, and later founder of the Bosák State Bank in Scranton, he helped thousands of immigrants safely transfer their hard-earned wages back to their loved ones in Europe. His achievements were so remarkable that American banknotes bearing his name circulated in the United States. Yet Bosák never forgot where he came from. As the movement for an independent Czechoslovakia gained momentum during the First World War, Bosák became one of its most important financial supporters. In doing so, he achieved something extraordinary. Michal Bosák not only realized the American dream, he helped make the dream of Czechoslovakia possible as well. Štefan Banič, the coal miner who helped save lives. Štefan Banič came to America in 1907 seeking fortune. His story looked very much like that of millions of immigrants, a penniless foreigner toiling away in a Pennsylvania coal mine. Perhaps he too would have been forgotten by history had he not witnessed a devastating plane crash in 1912. Instead of accepting tragedy as inevitable, he began asking a simple question. Could a person survive by escaping from an aircraft in flight? His answer became one of the earliest practical parachute designs. After months of experimentation, Banič tested the invention himself. According to popular accounts, he jumped from a building in Washington, D.C., before later demonstrating the parachute from a military aircraft. The invention worked. 1914, the United States Army purchased the rights to Banič's parachute for a modest sum. Although the invention did not make him wealthy, it earned him recognition as one of the pioneers of parachute development. Whether Banič's exact design saw combat use during World War I remains a matter of debate. What is beyond doubt is that his work contributed to the early development of parachute technology at a time when aviation was still in its infancy. More than a century later, parachutes continue to save lives around the world, reflecting the ingenuity and determination of this Slovak immigrant inventor. Banič eventually returned home and spent the remainder of his life in Smolenice, where his remarkable invention is still remembered today. Stephen Dohanos, the artist who illustrated America. Some names disappear from public memory, even though their work remains everywhere. Štefan Banič is one of them. Born to a family with roots in Slovakia, Banič possessed an extraordinary ability to transform everyday life into compelling visual stories. That gift would make him one of America's most influential illustrators. During the Second World War, when the nation needed artists capable of informing, encouraging, and uniting the public, Banič answered the call. What made him different? Rather than depicting idealized heroes or demonized enemies, he painted recognizable people facing real challenges. The result was far more powerful. His work resonated because Americans saw themselves in it. Over several decades, Banič created more than 125 covers for the Saturday Evening Post, one of the most influential magazines in the country. Through scenes of baseball games, family gatherings, small-town celebrations, and everyday life, he captured the hopes and values of an entire generation. His influence extended even further. As an advisor to the United States Postal Service, he helped design artwork for more than 300 American postage stamps across the administrations of 7 presidents. Precious few artists have done more to shape how Americans saw themselves during the 20th century. Andy Warhol, the boy from Rusin Valley. Andy Warhol famously declared, "I come from nowhere." Like many second-generation Americans, he was more interested in the present moment than in preserving ties to the old country. Yet his family's story did begin somewhere. It began in Mikova, a small village in northeastern Slovakia. His parents were Rusin immigrants who settled in Pittsburgh during the early 20th century, where Andy grew up in a modest working-class household. The Warhols lived in a close-knit community in Pittsburgh's Rusin Valley. Andy's mother, Julia, never fully learned English because she didn't need to. Everyone from the butcher to the hairdresser spoke her mother tongue. Though Andy rarely spoke about his heritage, traces of his upbringing found expression in his work. Warhol revolutionized the art world by dissolving the boundary between popular culture and fine art. Campbell's soup cans, Coca-Cola bottles, Marilyn Monroe, and Elvis Presley became subjects worthy of galleries and museums. In doing so, he became the defining figure of the pop art movement and transformed the way the world thinks about art. Today, Andy Warhol remains one of America's most recognizable artists and one of the most famous descendants of immigrants from Slovakia. Audrey Hepburn. Grace, talent, and a story that began in Slovakia. Have you ever come across the saying, enthusiastically embraced by Slovaks, that Slovak women are the most beautiful women in the world? It certainly seems to be true for Audrey Hepburn. Her beauty and elegance, but above all her intelligence, kindness, and humanity, captivated audiences around the world. Yet few people know that part of her family story leads back to Slovakia. Her great-grandfather, Anton Wells, was a prominent industrialist who co-founded a sugar factory in the village of Kovarks in present-day Slovakia. Audrey's grandmother Anna was born there, in the local manor house that still stands today. The family's fortunes changed dramatically after Anton Wells died unexpectedly. The sugar factory eventually burned down, and the family dispersed across Europe in search of new opportunities. One branch settled in Western Europe, where future generations would build new lives. From that family line came Audrey Hepburn. Born in Belgium, Hepburn rose to international fame through films such as Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Her achievements were extraordinary. Hepburn was one of the few performers in history to achieve EGOT status, earning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. Audrey Hepburn never publicly spoke about her Slovak roots. Yet her remarkable life remains another example of how descendants of families from this small corner of Europe went on to leave an extraordinary mark on the world. Eugene Cernan, From a Slovak Village to the Moon. The story of the last man to walk on the moon started long before NASA. It began in 1900, when Štefan Cernan left his village and sailed across the Atlantic in search of a better life. Like countless immigrants of his generation, he hoped that America would offer opportunities unavailable at home. He settled there and raised a family. One of his grandsons was Eugene Cernan. Gene, as friends and family called him, first became a pilot, then an astronaut, then one of the select few human beings to leave Earth altogether. In 1972, Eugene Cernan commanded Apollo 17, humanity's final mission to the moon. When he climbed back into the lunar module, he became the last person ever to leave footprints on the moon, a distinction he still holds today. Yet he never forgot where his family's journey had begun. Among the personal items he carried into space was a Czechoslovak flag, honoring the homeland of his ancestors. Years later, he recalled purchasing the flag himself because he knew where his family had come from and wanted to carry that connection with him on humanity's greatest voyage. After returning from the moon, he attempted to donate the flag to communist Czechoslovakia, but the gesture was rejected by the regime of the time. History eventually caught up. Following the fall of communism, Cernan visited Slovakia several times, receiving honors and recognition as a long-lost son returning to the homeland of his forebears. For a family whose story began in a small village in Central Europe, it was an extraordinary journey, from Europe to America, and from America to the moon. A legacy beyond numbers. These stories are very different, yet all of them share a common thread. They began with families who left their homes in search of hope and opportunity in the new world. They remind us that America's story has always been shaped by people who arrived from elsewhere and contributed their talent, determination, and creativity to the American experience. Thank you for listening to the Global Slovakia podcast. We hope you enjoyed discovering these remarkable stories of Slovak immigrants and their descendants who helped shape America. Their journeys remind us that even the most extraordinary achievements often begin with an ordinary family willing to cross an ocean in search of a better future. To explore more stories about Slovakia's history, heritage, and people, visit us at www.globalslovakia.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.